Welcome to English Story Hub. Learn English through fun stories. Improve vocabulary, listening, and speaking skills. Like, subscribe, and keep learning with us.
The Clockkeeper's Silence. Every morning for nearly 60 years, Mr. Timms wound the clock. He'd shuffle across the cobbled square with his long brown coat, top hat tilting slightly to one side, a brass key tucked under one arm like a violin. The villagers hardly noticed anymore. It was simply part of life in Noraldale. The chiming clock, the gentle old man, and the way time flowed as easily as the river beside the mill. He was always there at sunrise. Always winding. Always smiling. Until the day he wasn't. No one knew quite when Mr. Timms had taken over the job. Most assumed he had always done it, just as the clock had always been there, towering over the square with its four great faces and delicate golden hands that gleamed in moonlight. The clock was old. Some said it predated the village. Others whispered it had been built by a traveler who would vanish before the last screw was turned. But none of them questioned that Mr. Timms wound it, and that it must be wound. Every day. Without fail. The morning he didn't, the sky was the same soft grey it always was at dawn. The baker lit his ovens. The milkman rattled his cart down Holloway Street. A child named Elsie ran through the square chasing her cat, trailing ribbons. And then, nothing. Not silence. Stillness. Time stopped. It didn't pause or slow. It simply ceased to move. Birds hovered in the air like ornaments. Steam froze in the shape of a breath. A dropped teacup remained suspended inches from the ground, the porcelain never breaking. People stood like statues. Eyes mid-blink. Words unsaid. The clock in the tower had stopped. Its hands fixed at 6:17. And only Mr. Timms moved. He woke not in his bed, but sitting at the edge of the fountain in the square. He didn't remember walking there. He didn't remember dressing. He simply was. He blinked. And blinked again. Nothing changed. The cat hung in the air, mid-leap from one barrel to another. The girl, Elsie, he thought her name was, had 1 foot off the ground, her hair frozen like wine-tossed silk. Mr. Timms stood slowly and realized he was alone. Utterly, impossibly alone. At first, he thought he was dreaming. He wandered down Market Lane. The air didn't move. His boots made no sound. The world had become a painting, and he, the only brushstroke still wet. He touched the arm of the cobbler, who stood at his doorway, mouth open as if about to greet a customer. The man didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Mr. Timms staggered back. "Dear stars," he whispered. "What have I done?" For 3 days, though he no longer trusted the sun to rise or set, he wondered. Noraldale. The shops were open, yet empty. The river stood still. The leaves didn't fall, no matter how gently he pulled. At night, He sat beneath the motionless stars, listening for something, anything. But even the wind had stopped. He wept once. Then twice. Then he stopped altogether. Because something changed. A voice. Small. Clear. Why didn't you wind it? He turned sharply. No one stood near. But the voice had been real. Faint. Like memory. He followed it. Through the orchard. Across the silent square. Into the old hall beneath the clock tower. He climbed. The gears didn't move. The pendulum hung like a forgotten breath. And at the very top, beside the great golden dial, stood a little girl. She turned to him. Elsie. But moving. Eyes full of tears. Why didn't you wind it, Mr. Timms? He gasped. You are awake. She nodded slowly. I heard the clock stop. I tried to run. But I couldn't. He knelt beside her, his voice cracking. You shouldn't be moving. None of you should. I dreamed I was a bird, she whispered. But my wings were made of time. And when it stopped, I fell. He didn't understand. But she reached out and took his hand. You have to wind it again. He hesitated. I didn't mean to forget. I woke late. My key was missing. I thought, what harm could one day do? She looked up at the great gears, silent and cold. You are not just keeping the time, she said. You are keeping us. He rose. His key was in his coat pocket. He didn't remember putting it there. He climbed the last steps. Inserted the brass into the mechanism. Took a deep breath. And turned. Click. 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 The gears groaned. The pendulum shuddered. And with a sound like a breath held too long finally let go. The world resumed. The cat landed on the barrel. The teacup shattered. Children laughed. The river ran. Mr. Timms collapsed to his knees, tears on his cheeks. And only one person noticed. Elsie, standing quietly at the base of the tower, staring up at him. When he descended, still shaking, she reached for his hand again. Why are you crying, Mr. Timms? He looked at her for a long time. Then whispered, because I remembered what I am.